A sabersmith is a lightsaber enthusiast who accepts commissions on custom lightsaber projects. And I realize that's a pretty broad way of explaining it, but a sabersmith is a pretty broad term. And sabersmith could do one of many different custom lightsaber services. They could do one service, they could do several of them. So some examples of these services of sabersmiths include doing repairs, to a broken lightsaber, installing electronics in an empty hilt, could be a Force FX conversion, could be powder coating, adding powder coating to a hilt or weathering a hilt, plating. I mean, the list just really goes on and on. A sabersmith is also, or it could also be somebody that does an entire project for somebody. So a total one-off custom lightsaber build, that would also be a sabersmith. And keep in mind, if you Google sabersmith, you'll get a lot of people that work on swords. So if you do look for sabersmiths, I recommend typing in sabersmith lightsaber so that you see the lightsaber-related sabersmiths out there. Now, sabersmiths are different from custom lightsaber companies, so it's different from the big companies like Ultra Sabers or Saberforge. A sabersmith is often an individual or sometimes a small group of individuals, and they're more, well, it's more like they're artisans or technicians. They're not typically these really, really large companies. And there's a lot of skill involved with it, what they do, and usually a lot of custom elements too. And it's just kind of, they'll do these different projects as one-off projects, right? Rather than, kind of mass producing something. That's how a sabersmith is different from the big companies. And since they cover such a wide range of services for lightsabers, the price, the duration, and the complexity of each of these commissions can just widely vary, depending on the project, depending on the sabersmith themselves. So, and also because of kind of the breadth of these services, most sabersmiths will kind of specialize in one thing or maybe a handful of things, but sometimes they'll kind of recommend other sabersmiths to work with, or, several of them will kind of partner on a project or collaborate on a project, to finish something for a customer. And okay, finally, I'll list off some kind of common things that sabersmiths may do. This is not a comprehensive list, but it kind of will show just how many different things sabersmiths could do. Now, there's anodizing, there's conversion, and that could be a Force FX lightsaber or Disney Parks lightsaber. They could create a one-off lightsaber build for somebody from scratch, or they could also develop kind of one-off lightsaber parts, like a custom chassis, custom blade, like Ripper Blades makes custom blades for people. It could be custom nameplate, custom sound font, lots of things like that. Sabersmith could also do some diagnostics and troubleshooting for you if you're not sure what's wrong with your lightsaber. They can help you out there. Some sabersmiths do engraving, so that could be a mechanical engraving or engraving by hand. They could also do etching, acid etching, or laser etching. They could add inlays to a saber. They could do installs and upgrades to the electronics in a lightsaber. They could install a crystal chamber or crystal reveal with a lightsaber. They could add some leather wrap. They could also add faux leather wrap or, cotton wrap or, lots of other materials too. They could just do general repairs, some machining, painting, like acrylic paint oftentimes. They could add some piping. They could do plating, like add some nickel plating to a hilt or chrome plating. Polish a hilt. They could do some powder coating. They could upgrade, any aspect of the hilt. And they could do weathering. So it really is quite a variety of skills that sabersmiths have. And again, most of them will specialize in maybe one or just a few of these things. What are some of your favorite sabersmiths? Please comment below. And also, I have compiled a list of sabersmiths if you're interested in looking for one. It's called List of Sabersmiths, oddly enough. I have it on sabersourcing.com, and I'll link to it below also. But that's just kind of a quick summary of a sabersmith in terms of lightsabers, not in terms of actual swords. Although that's pretty cool too.